بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Before we start the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, we would like to talk about the month of Muharram. And you know for a fact that we are in a great month. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the best of the fast after the month of Ramadan is the month of Al-Muharram. The month of Al-Muharram, it is the only month which is called Shahrullah al-Muharram. There's no other months which is attributed to Allah. You don't say, for example, Shahrullah Ramadan. You only say Shahrullah al-Muharram. It's a great month, and it's not just a great in the time of when the Prophet ﷺ had come, but it was great even before that time. And the day of Ashuraa, which is in that month, is already known to the Arabs before the birth of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this month, the Prophet of Allah, he says that the fasting in it is so great, just like is almost matching Ramadan, but it's less than Ramadan. You know that the Prophet of Allah used to fast the most in the month of, after Ramadan, Sha'ban. But fasting in the month of Sha'ban, it doesn't mean that the month of Sha'ban is the best after Ramadan. You know that the Prophet of Allah, he said the best of the Siyam is the fast of Dawood. He used to fast on alternate. But yet he, the Prophet of Allah, he used to fast Monday and Thursday. But fasting on Monday and Thursday is not as good as fasting a day and breaking the following day, which is the fast of Dawood. So the scholars had differed which one is better actually, Sha'ban or Muharram. And the correct opinion is Muharram. Prophet of Allah used to fast Sha'ban so much that he used to say that he used to fast all of it. But 2 months are great. The month of Muharram has the day of Ashuraa. The month of Sha'ban has the midnight of Sha'ban. But actually the days of Muharram, or the month in totality, is better because it is a month which is, we call it from the Ashuraa al-Hurum, where Allah Azza wa Jal had indicated that there are 4 months. إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم. So there are 4 months in the Islamic calendar which are to be sacred. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in that month, he used to encourage the Muslims and the companions to do as many good deeds as possible. The Arabs, before the arrival of Islam, they used to reckon this month is to be a great month. They called it even the month of Al-Mu'tamir. Al-Mu'tamir, it means the one who increases. And why it's the meaning the one who increases? Because it is a month where the fighting stops. And when the fighting stops, people will what? Grow larger in number, because there will be less deaths. So it is Al-Mu'tamir from the word Kathur, Tamarat, from Kathur. And also Al-Mu'tamir from the word that is to have commands. And this is the commands of to do good. And the day of Ashuraa used to be fasted by the people of Jahiliyyah. Even the Prophet of Allah used to fast the day of Ashuraa before he migrated to Medina. And they used to fast that day. They used to say that the Jahili Quraysh, or the people in Arabs in large number in general, they have made a great sin that they have to fast a day. That's the history background of it. But it looks like that it's a day which was known, not just to the Christians and the Jews, but also to the Arabs, because they are upon the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So if it was the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that they used to fast the day of Ashuraa, even, I'm talking about even at the time when Musa alayhi salam was saved from that Fir'aun and his soldiers. So this day, Prophet of Allah used to fast it, but it was not obligatory. It was just a fast, and he never commanded any of the companions to fast that day. Get closer, brother, my dear boy. Get closer, don't go far. Get closer, get closer. Don't go further away, go closer. Jazakallah. So we know that the Prophet of Allah, he fasted that day, but he did not command any one of the companions to fast the day. Now, when the Prophet of Allah went to Medina, then he saw the Jews and the Christians. They used to fast that day, and he asked about that. So he was told that this is the day upon which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa alayhi salam and his followers from Fir'aun's soldiers. That's when he said, we have more priority to follow Musa alayhi salam than yourselves. So he commanded for that day to be fasted. And when the command was given, it was given by an announcement. A caller used to come out and he said, he who had eaten that day, then let him continue by fasting. And he who did not eat, then let him continue fasting. So even the person who had eaten already, now the fast of Ashuraa became obligatory. Continue the day fasting. And this is where we take the intention is to be taking place as soon as the intention is being commanded. So those people who did eat at the beginning of the day, they will be counted as to be fasting it because they didn't know it became obligatory. So that's when we said in Ramadan, if the person didn't know tomorrow is the day, first day of Ramadan, but he had the intention to fast, even though he had eaten during the beginning of the day, and then the information came to him, then he could continue from that moment to fast, and it will be counted for him as a day. So he announced for the people to fast that day. For those who had eaten food, they let them abstain until continue fasting the day. The companions is to make that day to be compulsory on everyone, and even the children. They used to be given toys which is made of cotton, in order to make them, preoccupied and not to think about the fast, in order to make them to fast that day. So this is where even the children are to be as well taught for that fast. So the Prophet ﷺ commanded for that fast, and also the Messenger of Allah, he tried his best to make the people of the Bayt to get closer to the Muslims by, number one, for example, praying towards the Qibla of Jerusalem. And also the Prophet of Allah, he used to have his hair returned to the back, or combed to the back, and then when he saw the Jews, they had a party, he made a party. And he tried his best to get the Jews close. But later on, the Jews, they did not want to follow on, or did not want to embrace Islam. And that's when the Prophet of Allah had made a distinguishing sort of figure between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. So he had to set them aside and distinguish them. So as for the hair, he combed it back again to the back. As for the Qibla, it was changed to Mecca. And also he said, pray in your shoes and be different from the Jews. And he also said, dye your hair and be different from the Christians and the Jews. Dye your grey hair, even though the grey hair is not your fault. It comes out like by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's universal law. So even though that you want to be different from them by dyeing that hair. Now the Prophet ﷺ also, because of that, before he died, he himself, he said, if I live for the following year, I will fast the 9th. So this is where we have the 9th and the 10th. Now the Ashuraa, most of the scholars, they say it's the 10th, but Abdullah ibn Abbas says it's the 9th. And the correct opinion, it is the 10th. And it is the 10th day of the 10th night. So it is not the 9th. But even though I'm just saying to you that there is an opinion which says it's the 9th. And even the scholars differed whether it was recommended at the beginning, or was it compulsory. The correct opinion, it was compulsory at the beginning, but later on it was abrogated by the compulsion of the month of Ramadan, which was in the year 2 after Hijrah. When Ramadan became compulsory, the abrogation took place for the day of Ashuraa, and it became recommended. Now, recommendation is from the hadith, or stems from the hadith of Umar Khattab, when he asked the Prophet ﷺ, what do you get if you do this, what do you get if you fast this? So about the day of Ashuraa, he said, أحسبه يكفر سنة ماضية. And then I believe, he said, the Prophet of Allah, it will give a sin forgiven a year before. أحسبه يكفر سنة ماضية. So the day of Ashuraa, in terms of excellence, is not as good as the what, in terms of forgiveness, as the what, day of Arafah, because it's a day a year before or a year after. But let me tell you, Allah ibn Abbas, he said, there is no day or month the Prophet of Allah target the day to target to fast, and he doesn't want to miss, is the day of Ashuraa. He is all the time counting for it, the day of Ashuraa. As Abdullah ibn Abbas narrates that hadith. Abdullah ibn Abbas was young when the Prophet of Allah died. It means that was the last case of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now we find that the Prophet of Allah, he said, in order to be different from the Jews, if I live for the following year, I will fast the 9th. I will fast the 9th. Now, he did not live for the following year. So the 9th, that is the proof to say the 10th is the 10th and the 9th is the 9th. So fasting the 9th is for the sake of to be different from the Jews. Question to be asked is, so what about the Jews? Do they fast it in these days? Do they fast Ashuraa? Well, the Ashuraa day is in their Talmud, and it's been mentioned there, but they have lost it because they've used the solar system and they're not using the lunar months. The Ashuraa, we have been guided to it. We are the one who fast the Ashuraa, the proper Ashuraa, where they don't fast the day of Ashuraa. And that is what we tell our brothers from the Muslims. Abide yourself with the Muslim calendar. If you don't really abide yourself with the Muslim calendar, you're going to lose your touch with lots of occasions. You will be misguided from the truth, from the ones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to invest into these occasions. So the Jews, they miss that day because they're not really calculating it like we do. 10th of Muharram, the Prophet ﷺ, there's a hadith which is Muslim and Ahmad, that some of the Jews have said this is a day upon which Musa alayhi salam, that is, he was being saved, him and his followers from Fir'aun's soldiers, which is authentic in Sahih Bukhari. But the Muslim and Ahmad narration adds that it is the day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Nuh alayhi salam and the ship. And that narration is unauthentic. So Muslim and Ahmad, that is in the Muslim, and it is to be unauthentic hadith, whereas he said that this is the day upon which Allah Azza wa Jalla saved Nuh alayhi salam and the people of the ship. Right, now we know for a fact, now if it is the case that we need to encourage ourselves, our families, to fast there as much as possible, at least Monday and Thursday in the month of Muharram, and not to miss the day of Ashuraa, and also to be different from the Jews by fasting the 9th. But if you missed the 9th, you fast the 11th. Fasting the 9th and the 10th and the 11th, it wasn't narrated. Some followers have done it because they want to make sure that they did not miscount the days, because it could be the Hilal of the Hijjah had appeared this day or that day. Now, before I go ahead, as well explaining that we know that the sighting of the moon of Muharram, it does take place, but it's not as much as the month of Ramadan, to say the fact. But there are some countries that they have been sighting the moon of Muharram. One of them is Egypt, and Egypt had announced, fill up the gap with us, just fill up the gap. One person leaves, fill up the gap. The country of Egypt, they have said the fatwa that the day of Muharram, the first one, is the day of Wednesday. So Wednesday is the first day. And Saudi Arabia, they couldn't sight the moon on the night preceding Wednesday, so they made it Thursday. So they made Wednesday to be the 30th, that is the completion of the month of Dhul Hijjah. Now, I asked the scholars regarding this issue, that we as people here in England, we don't have a body to follow. So regarding the case of Muharram now, should we go with the first country that sighted the moon? So the answer is to see what the people the people who are following the Sunnah, they most would follow. So we don't want to split them as well within the split. So I answered, actually, most of them, they follow the fatwa that comes from Jazirat al-Arab, from Saudi Arabia. And then the answer came, that is, then, because we don't want to split them again, then they should be going with the Saudi Arabian. But the ideal situation is to go with what? With Egypt. Because they have seen they have said they have seen the sight of the moon. That makes it Wednesday is the first. But you go with them, with the ones who they did not sight the moon, and there were some sightings in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, and it made it Thursday. So if it is Thursday, we end up that the 10th will be Saturday. What's so special about that? What's so special about that is a huge difference among the scholars regarding fasting Saturday. 3 opinions, they stem out from that. Opinion number 1, Saturday in voluntary, you could fast it regardless with the day before or the day after. Opinion number 2, no, you can't fast Saturday on its own. You have to fast a Saturday with the day before or the day after. That means you can't single out Saturday for fasting voluntarily. Third opinion is that you can't fast Saturday involuntary, whether the day before or day after. You can't, unless it is obligatory. The opinion which we have adopted, and we have told our students, and we tell them again and again, there's no harm for another person to adopt another opinion, as long as he is following the haqq, that the hadith of Busr, or hadith Abdullah, or hadith of Samma, from the 3, and it doesn't matter, it does not make it unauthentic, it doesn't make it ittirab, that means there is not really certainty about it, as Imam al-Hajar had said, but actually the hadith is authentic, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, don't fast Saturday except if it is obligatory. Don't fast Saturday except for it is obligatory, even if the person cannot find except for a wooden stick to chew onto it, or the skin of a grape to eat it, then let him do so in order to break his fast on that day, that is Saturday. So, that strength in emphasis on the not to fast Saturday unless it's obligatory, and if you believe it is authentic, then it poses a problem. You can't you can't fast Saturday, regardless whether you fast the day before or the day after, because it says don't fast Saturday. Now, a person might ask, I've been waiting for that day, where I'm going to be fasting a day that it will expiate a previous year, and you saying to me, don't fast that day. This is going to be a great loss for me. We say to him, if you are adopting this opinion, you believe in it, don't worry. You are even better off. It's being counted for you even if you're not fasting. So you're better off. That means it's counted for you that you fasted the day even though you didn't fast. Person who fasts Monday and Thursday, and Monday happens the Eid al-Adha. Do you fast Monday? No. Of course no. You don't fast. Who said no? Okay, come here boy. Why are you sitting there? The adult of his, let him sit in the front. Don't let him sit in the back. Don't let him teach the learner to sit there. Go on, come in and participate. You can't fast Monday if it is the Eid al-Adha. You can't fast Monday or Thursday if it's Eid al-Fitr. But is it counted for you? Yes. So if Monday happens to be like your day that you fast, and it happens to be an occasion where you're not allowed to fast, then it will count for you. If you're a person who's traveling, a person who's ill, Prophet of Allah said, if the person is being restrained by Allah in terms of traveling and in terms of as well illness, Allah would command His angel to write all the good deeds that he used to do, fasting, praying, the night prayer, and all of that, while he was healthy and resident. So, alhamdulillah, Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu warḍah, if he had a guest coming to him, and he brought some food, his wife made the food to him, and he had gave him the food to him. So the guest said to the host, to Abu Dharr, eat with me. So Abu Dharr, he said, I'm fasting. So the guest started to eat, and that food wasn't that much. So he started to eat and eat and eat. And I think Abu Dharr, out of generosity, wanted to eat as much as possible. So he left a little piece of food into that plate. Abu Dharr, he pulls it, and then he eats it. So the man, he says, verily, I thought that everybody would lie except for the companions of the Prophet of Allah. Didn't you tell me that you were fasting? He said, I didn't lie. Prophet of Allah, he said, if you fast 3 days of the month, it's counted like you fast for the whole of the month. And I fasted my 3 days, I'm considered to be fasting even I'm eating. So I'm just saying this, that the person, even if he's not fasting the day of Saturday, because the day of Ashuraa, or could be the day of Arafah, it will be counted for him because he does fast the day of Ashuraa, but it happens to be on a prohibited day. That is the day of Saturday. Now, the answer for the following question before you ask, what about the Tasu'ah? Now, you know that already Prophet ﷺ, we said, want to fast the Tasu'ah is to differ from the Jews. But here there is no imitation of the Jews. There isn't, because you're not fasting what? Ashuraa. But we don't say you don't fast Tasu'ah. You fast the Tasu'ah because the Prophet said, he who fasts a day in the sake of Allah, Allah will put a trench between him and the hellfire. So fast the Tasu'ah. Friday. Now, again, we're going to end up with singling out what? Friday. Singling out Friday. And before we talk about singling out Friday, let me finish from the Saturday. Saturday, if it is obligatory, is obligatory on the 4 cases. Case number 1, Ramadan. Case number 2, compensating for the days of Ramadan. Case number 3, a vow, nadr, or nazr in the Urdu. Case number 4 is an expiation for violating an oath, or an expiation for something that you have done, like for example, you have killed someone not deliberately, you need to fast what? 60 days. Person who had gone to make Hajj and he did not slaughter an animal, he has to fast 10 days. So 3 days in the Hajj and 7 days when you go back. Saturday, no problem. So it becomes compulsory. Those are the 4 cases. Adding to it a 5th case from Hadith Juwayriyah. And the case is that the person who fasts Friday out of ignorance, involuntary, and he didn't know that he can't single out Friday, he finished the day, then he has to fast because it becomes compulsory to fast Saturday in order not to single out Friday. But if he knows already beforehand that you're not allowed to fast Friday except with a day with it, and the only day that you could fast with it, involuntary, is the day of Thursday, nothing else. So you can't just pre-plan to fast that day in order to get the Saturday. So if you knew the prohibition of Saturday, don't fast Friday on its own except with Thursday. So coming now to Friday. Friday, a difference among the scholars. Is it you can't fast it except for a day before or day after? Or you can fast Friday on its own if it happens to be a habitual fast of yours. So let's say that a person who fasts a day and breaks the following day, definitely is going to fall into what? Friday, regardless of how he starts, he has to fast Friday. So if he does fast Friday on its own, is that allowed? Or that the day of Arafah, the day of Ashuraa happens to be on Friday. So we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, number 1, لا تصوموا يوم الجمعة, don't fast the day of Jumu'ah except if a day before or a day after. That's one hadith. The other hadith, Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا تخصوا ولا تختصوا لا تخصوا يوم الجمعة بصيام ولا ليله بقيام. Don't specify the day of Jumu'ah with siyam, nor the night preceding Jumu'ah with qiyam, that is prayer. Specify, that means you designate Jumu'ah. But you did not designate, did you? When Ashuraa had happened to be on Friday, you did not designate that. When you fast the day and break the following day, you did not designate that. Now, this is where, as I said, there is a difference among the scholars. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, he says, you may fast Friday on its own if it happens a habitual fast. إِلَّا أَنْ يَكُونَ صَوْمًا يَصُومُهُ أَحَدُكُمْ. It's a habitual fast that you fasted. Or the opinion of Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, no, you're not allowed, because the exemption there is there. You can't put an exemption and another exemption. Prophet said, don't fast Friday except if it's a day before or day after. This is the Jumu'ah, which is voluntary. Now you can't make another exception into it except if it is a day before or a day after, and except if it's a habitual fast. He said, Shaykh Al-Albani, it does not work like that. You have the two opinions, but this is not as I said, strong as the prohibition of fasting Saturday, except if it is obligatory. And I'm giving you all the opinions of the scholars for you to learn as a student of knowledge, as well to tackle any issues regarding that month. Right, alhamdulillah, we're finished now. Anything that you need to tell me or remind me about that day of Ashura before I go ahead with the companions now?
So if that's the case, then surely that Saturday will fall on a Saturday. So how do we reach that?
Well, the question is, this is a question which answers itself by itself. That you fast a day and fall and bring the following day. That if it's going to happen as well to be Saturday. So what about if it happens to be the Eid day? Do you fast the Eid day? Definitely going to happen to the Eid day as well. Because you're going to have the day of Eid al-Fitr, the Eid al-Adha, following 3 days. Do you fast those days? The Eid same thing with Saturday, you don't fast that day. You do the same thing as you do with Eid. There's no sort of big deal or an issue about it. So if it is your Eid day, you're not going to fast it. Even if you're fasting a day, you're begin the following day. It needs for you to contemplate and think about it, to juggle it about, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's not really as easy, because people, they got used to fasting Arafah and Day of Ashura, regardless Saturday, Friday, but it doesn't matter. But when you took the hadith and put it together, and all of the hadith, you get a full picture of what the scholars are talking about. But definitely, we do have a strong argument from the shuyukh regarding the issue of Saturday. They use as well your argument, same thing. So the reply was, my argument is, what about if it happens to be the day of Eid? What do? You don't fast. Happens the day of Saturday, I don't fast. Wallahu a'lam. The hadith, if it's authentic in your regard, it will pose you a problem. You can't get away from it. If the hadith is authentic, لا تصوموا يوم السبت إلا فيما افترض عليكم ولو لم يجد أحدكم إلا لحى عنب أو عود شجر فليمضغه. Hadith which is, so clear and so precise to restrict and exempt and make exception in everything. But if it's not authentic, then we will understand where is the difference coming from. Now, further.
So the opinion of Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah about the exception within the exception. Explain it again.
Further explanation of this issue of the Shaykh Al-Albani is actually in the book of Silsila Sahih of Shaykh Al-Albani, and the hadith number is in the 900, I can't remember exactly. But if I bring it out, we will see. Allahu musta'an. Okay. It's in Silsila Sahih 980, where the Shaykh explains it in pages and after pages, talk about exception within exception, and I would refer you to it, because otherwise I will not be talking about companions. Now,
So what about the 11th day?
11th day, there is no hadith which is authentic. I haven't really explored a lot into the issue. I mean, if I want to explore, I will tell you why, for example, the difference among the scholars regarding Saturday. I would have said to you, for example, there are ahadith which is not sahih. I haven't rated these ahadith which is not sahih. Like, for example, the Prophet of Allah used to fast most of Saturdays, unauthentic. And he used to fast Saturday and Sunday in order to be different from the Christians and the Jews. That's not authentic. So, I mean, let's not discuss that. As for the 11th, there is a hadith which is unauthentic, that the Prophet of Allah used to fast a day before or day after. That is the 9th or the 11th. And that is unauthentic. That's in Sahih ibn Khuzaymah. And Wallahu A'lam is that if you did not fast the 9th, then you fast the 11th in order to be different from the Jews. So let's say, what is the best in terms of Ashura? Ashura with the 9th. Second stage, Ashura with the 11th. Third stage, Ashuraa in its own. Those are the categories of fasting Ashuraa. Wallahu a'lam. Now, you got a back problem?
I do, yes.
Go on.
No, so if I have the intention of fasting the Ashuraa, but I don't do it because it falls on a Saturday,
Yeah.
do I get the reward for it?
Ask everybody. Yes or no?
Is that-
I think no. I think maybe you missed it. I wouldn't say you've been not paying attention, but you missed it. We talked about it. We said yes. Do you remember we said that Abu Dhar, what he has done? He has eaten, but he said, I consider it to be what? Fasting. So he will be counted for you. So if you are a person who fasts Monday and Thursday, and you happen that you be traveling, or you were ill, even if you did not fast Monday and Thursday, it will be recorded for you that you fasted Monday and Thursday. Okay? And this is only with Allah. You can't get it at work, can you? But if you're working, mashallah, for years in the company, and you got ill, so the company will say to you, you are just like working. Don't worry, stay ill. They might give you 10, 5 days, 7 days, but after that, 1 month, 2 months, but Allah could give you what? The whole time of your life. You've been fasting Monday and Thursday. You got an accident. Paralyzed. Long life pension. MashaAllah. Monday and Thursday. And all the things that you used to do. It'll be recorded for you. Don't worry about it. This is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now.
So if we are we encouraged to fast for Friday in this case? Sure for the Saturday.
And I think you have missed it as well. I said, that is, when we say that the ninth was to be fasted because of, to be different from the Jews, and now it happens to be that the Saturday is that you're not going to fast it, you're already different from the Jews. So we say that the ninth we fasted because it's fasting a day for the sake of Allah. So you fast the ninth because it's a day for the sake of Allah. And there's a difference among the scholars, that is, do you have to fast a day before or the day after? The day after is not, but a day before, according to Al-Bani, you have to. And I would say to you, get out of the difference, fast on Thursday and Friday. Get out of the difference, to be now pleasing everybody. Allahu A'lam. But if you know what you're doing, don't worry. Now, the hadith question is that if the Prophet ﷺ said don't single out Friday for fasting, but fast the day before or the day after, is the general, and the one specifies it, that is, they don't fast Saturday, and except if it's obligatory. Does that specify that the day after should not be fasted? Yes, but we say is not actually just simply because it specifies it, because we say a principle that we have learned. Al-Hadar uqaddam al-Mubih. Hadith says do, and Hadith says don't. Which takes precedence? Don't. So Hadith say do, that means you could fast Saturday, so the day after Jumu'ah, and Hadith don't fast Saturday, the don't takes precedence. Because always, this is a principle being derived from a number of proofs. The Islam, when it came to shape the people's life. They used to do a lot of things. They used to treat it as halal, and Allah made it what? Prohibited. But if it was the other way, where the Prophet, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, where want to make something halal after He made it haram, then the Sharia will what? Point it out. Like what? The grave. Visiting the grave. Visiting the grave, Prophet of Allah, when he came, he made it haram. Why he made it haram? Because the people, they were linked to the dead and linked to the shirk. So you want to keep them away from the shirk. When the iman and the aqidah settled in the heart of the companions, Prophet of Allah, he said, verily I used to prohibit you from visiting the graves. Oh, visit the graves because it reminds you of the hereafter. So he pointed out that this is permissibility came after prohibition, which it was for a reason. And that is why we say always, don't takes precedence over the do. حاضر يقدم عن الوجه. So the one says don't fast Saturday takes precedence over the one who says fasting Saturday is permissible. Now. Now.
The Shias, they claim the greatness of Ashuraa. Is the martyrdom not secular or not?
You know the Shia, they regard the day of Ashura as to be a day of mourning because Al-Hussein was murdered. You see, this is a question as well, can be linked to another question. What should we do on the day of Ashura? Should we be happy? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had saved Musa alayhi salam from his followers from Fir'aun and his soldiers? Or should we be sad because truly actually it was the day upon which Allah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it the day where the Shia had let down Al-Hussein, and Hussein was massacred. He was murdered. It was the day. So do we consider it a day of mourning? Now, do we go and start on the street beating up ourselves because of the death of Al-Hussein? Of course not. But do we do like others, which I haven't seen, I've heard of, we start dancing. Allah saved Musa alayhi salam and his followers from Fir'aun and his soldiers, and they start singing them. Shall we do that? Because it's a day of happiness. There's no happiness and there's no sadness. It's a day where we are fulfilling rituals. And you're laughing, but it was actually a habit. And it was a custom that the people in the day of Ashura, they make festivals. And not only that, they treat it as a day of Eid. Start giving money to the children. At-tawsi'ah. في يوم عاشوراء. If you open the books of fiqh, they will say that at-tawsi'ah. Tawsi'ah means like, giving more relaxation and giving more of money to the children and the family in order to celebrate that day. And the tawsi'ah fi yawmi Ashura is a bid'ah. It's not correct. It's not right. The Ashura is a day that is you're doing ibadah. You're fasting the day. Now, as I said, the scholars have differed as well regarding is it stays recommended or is being cancelled. Because we said the abrogation took place because of Ramadan. But is it cancelled now? Finished? Because the Prophet said, Man sha'a samahu, man sha'a taraka. Or it is still recommended. Allahu a'lam, it is recommended because Abdullah ibn Abbas is narrated the hadith. La asumanna tasa, or fast the 9th. It means because he was young. The Prophet when he died, he was only 13 years old. So Abdullah ibn Abbas, he was knowing the latest updates of the Prophet ﷺ regarding the Ashura, which is recommended. Wallahu a'lam. Naam.
Sheikh, if someone goes by the Egyptian setting of the moon, because Wednesday, then Ashuraa will fall on Friday. If someone fasts Thursday and Friday, will that be considered a sin because he's going against the Jama'ah?
Is the person who's fasting the 9th and the 10th being Thursday and Friday because he's going with Egypt? Is he going to be sinned? There's no sin not to fast the whole days. First of all, it's a voluntary. So there's no sin whether you're fasting or you don't fast. You're not going to be sinned because this is not Ramadan. If it is Ramadan, the case will be more emphasized. This is not Ramadan, that's why we take it easy upon ourselves. Ramadan is different. Ashura is less than Ramadan. So if it is Ramadan, you have to abide. Because the Prophet said, Sawmukum yawma tasum. The day of fast when everybody what? Fast. But he never said, Ashurakum yawma, everybody makes Ashura. He didn't say that. Okay? So if you believe yourself that Ashura is Friday, you do Thursday and Friday. Okay? And I'm telling you there are a number of people that do so. Alright? Because I said, it is no harm and no sin that you are going against the Jannah. It's a good question. He said, because nothing to do with Ramadan. So you're doing it. And that's why some of the followers and even narrated with the companions. They used to fast 3 days. Why? To make sure that they what? They're going to get Ashuraa properly. Because they don't know. Because the sighting of the moon of Muharram is not as strong as sighting the moon of Ramadan. Definitely. And even one of the hadith which is called Habbar, when he came to the Aisha radiallahu anha regarding the day of Al-Adha. So she said to him, come and eat. And it was the day of Al-Adha. He said, I don't know. It could be the day of Arafah. That means he doesn't want to what? To eat. Because he's fasting the day of Arafah. He said, come and eat. Prophet of Allah he said, Adhaakum yawma tudhun. Your Adha is the day when everybody makes an Adha. You can't make an Adha on your own. You can't go on your own self and you go outside, Eid on your own, nobody with you. You can't. You have to be Eid, everybody Eid. Even though that you have seen the moon differently, it doesn't matter. You have to abide with the others. But Ashuraa, we don't really go with that. So if a person believes Egypt is correct, for me, if you ask me, after what happened in Egypt, for me, Egyptian is not as trustworthy as used to be. Because it's a chaos. But if you believe, khalas. If you've seen the moon, go ahead with it. Now, fadl.
Some countries, Muslim countries, I've seen the day of Ashuraa, they make two events. One of them is collecting the zakat of the land from the rich people. And the locals, they make a special day for like a
Cake.
Food for them.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Making special food and making cakes, making whatever in the day of Ashuraa is exactly what the people of Ahlul Bid'ah, when they make, for example, on the day of Nairuz, beef Shabbarat, they make food. So all of that, Shabbarat, which is the 15th of Shabbat. Okay, Shabbarat. And Shabbarat, yes. And the day of Nairuz, which is in Egypt, they celebrate it like the Magians, fire worshippers. And Nairuz, which is the Shem al-Nasim, Eid Shem al-Nasim, which is in April, which is coincide with or synchronizes with the day of Easter. Okay, so they have that day, they celebrate it. All of that is not really right. But you said something before that? Collecting the zakah. Any person who making his zakah on a particular occasion, which is, he thinks that there is a reward for that, then he needs a proof, otherwise it becomes a bid'ah. But if it happens that he had accumulates his threshold on the day of Ashuraa, then he has to go with the Ashuraa.
They make it a day for the whole country.
Oh, see.
The whole country.
Allahul Musta'an, it's the whole bid'ah. Allahul Musta'an. From the bid'ah as well, that you make it Friday as a holiday. Which people, they don't know about that. Friday is not a holiday. We are actually imitating the Christian and the Jew. With the Christian, they make it a day of no work whatsoever, because Allah rested on that day, we have to rest as well. According to them, Allah rested, or their God, rested on that day, so we have to count works, forbidden. And the day of Sunday, which is the day they believe as well, for the Christians, is a holy day. They make it a day as well, and there's even a committee called the Committee of Protecting Sunday. Wallahi, before they didn't even allow any shop to open on Sunday. And a long time ago, there is, as done all these big superstores, they are not allowed to open on Sundays. It's only little grocery shops for food, but not allowed. I lived that days. I lived the days when it was 1980s, when I came here, 1980s. I remember Sunday is the most boring day for us. Nothing open. You have to make sure that you get enough food, because otherwise, even today, you said, well, not anymore. No, there is anymore. There is, because they're not allowed to open after 4 o'clock. What is that for? Still protection of Sunday. You have to have by law. What is that law? I want to open my shop whenever I want, protecting Sunday. I remember that if you want to buy, for example, like a drill, you know, a drill, or any electrical tool, forget about Sunday. You can't get it in those days. No way you can buy a fridge or a freezer or all these things on Sunday. But somebody, I remember, it's a TV program. They brought it. I looked at the TV program, and they said that this person came with a very great idea. He's actually electrical shop, but he turns it into electrical plus tomatoes and cucumber. So for example, he says 1 kilo of tomato for 50 pounds, but you get a drill free. He twisted the law, he won. So you buy 1 kilo of tomatoes to 50 pounds, but you get 1 drill free. That means you are buying actually the drill, you're not buying the tomatoes. Did you understand that? Or you buy, for example, 1 kilo of cucumber for 100 pounds with a free jigsaw. Then he got away with it. And then they had to really surrender to the pressure of the people, that is to let these shops open on Sunday, and maybe in the future as well, they will let them as well to open more than 4 o'clock on Sunday. But as I said, we are with the system. We are with the system. Remember, I'll tell you what, sometimes that system as well is needed for those countries who are capitalists, because the capitalists, they're like bloodsuckers, if you understand what I'm saying. So these laws, for example, let's say when Safeway, they have given up and they sold their asset, everything, there were beddings from where? From all these major stores, like for example from Asda, from Tesco, from Sainsbury, all of them, they want any place where there's Safeway, they want it. So they all put their beddings, but the government controlled that bedding. They wanted to give it to someone so there will be no control of the price, you understand me? So they gave it to the one which is really the inferior, the one which is the weakest amongst them, Morrison's. Morrison's bought that in order to make a competition, which is good. Otherwise, you've been robbed, because those companies, they get together and they make a fixed price. If you notice as well, the toys, and even these things as well, toys are very expensive, because those companies got together and made the toy one price. They're not allowed. Big companies, they come to them, they were not allowed to supply with any toys unless you make it what? That price. You can't sell it cheaper than that. And they've been prosecuted, by the way. Even Argos have been prosecuted for that. They've been taken to court for this. So what I'm just saying, these laws is what are needed. So government, they're no good sometimes, but they're good as well sometimes. And there is justice somehow in the system, but as I said, when you have the greed is your target, you're never going to get haqq. Greedy. Allah understand. Now, I think we turn the class into economy now. Go on.
So what days are allowed to take as a holiday day? If we can work all 7 days, if you want to rest, you're allowed to rest.
What day, sorry?
Say
Holiday. The Muslim country, they should be making a shura amongst the scholars to take, like for example, before the Jumu'ah, for example. But to make it a public holiday on Friday, that's imitated the Christian and the Jews, because they take it Saturday and Sunday. So maybe before the Jumu'ah to get ready for the Jumu'ah, or at least 3 hours, 2 hours to get home and get showered and everything to the Jumu'ah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, regarding the Jumu'ah, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةِ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. Then He goes straight. So also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعِ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعِ. If, or you believe that if the call for the Jumu'ah comes, then leave transaction. That means it's work. It's buying and selling. Okay? But if a private person, it's not like a public holiday, private, he wanted to take the half of the day off because he wants to get rid of the Jumu'ah, no problem. As long as he hasn't got this into his intention that the Jumu'ah is a day which is off. When I used to have a bookshop, I used to deliberately open the day of Jumu'ah. I open from the morning until just about an hour or 2 hours before the Jumu'ah and go. Just for the sake of applying this, not for the sake of the money. When I heard from the Shaykh rahmatullah alayhi, that the Jumu'ah should not be a day of what? A day off. Now the day off for some of the, in our country, like for example, the Imams, they get Monday. Monday, the day off. But it synchronizes with a day off for other as well professionals, the barbers. So barbers, there will be no barbers, no cutting of the hair on Monday, and no Imam as well. See, no Imam does not. Yes, some of the Imams, even they come to the masjid, they don't need the prayer. because I haven't been paid for that day. Allah musta'an. A day off for the Imam. Now, khair inshallah. Tafadhal akhi. I think we can't really talk about a companion now. Go ahead.
We say Friday is Eid, like the Eid of the week. What about giving special treatment to the children? Because it says
Okay. Do we do, Friday is Eid. Do we do a special treatment for the children? No. Because the Eids also, they differ in terms of traditions. The Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, they themselves, they differ as well in traditions between each other. Eid al-Fitr in terms of as well, of eating before and eating after. So eating before you go to the Musalla in Eid and eating after in Eid al-Adha, they differ. The Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, the day, yes, Allah Azza wa Jalla made it for us to make the children play and so and so. But the day of Jumu'ah is a day of Eid in terms of getting clothes clean, getting yourself as dressed up as possible. That's the Eid day about it. That's to show that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a day, to reckon it as a day, but it's not to be a day off. It's not a day you're taking it off, but it's a day that is to, when you come to the Jumu'ah, you come with the best of clothes. You come to the Jumu'ah with the best of perfumes. You come to the Jumu'ah when you had a ghusl. That's where the similarity with the Eid. But it's not similarity where I'm gonna, start, giving for the children like I used to give for the Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. No, it's different. Jazakallah khair for that question. We have Eid as well for the Hujjaj, which is Eid Arafah. Arafah, the Prophet said, this is Eid for the pilgrims. Do their pilgrims as well, do give their children as well money? Go and buy toys as well in the Eid al-Arafah? No, they don't. Now,
Would you advise a situation on Friday, somebody owns a shop, and the time of Jumu'ah, he doesn't close it because he has the hajjah that is a woman working inside. So, and the woman is not composing for her to go for Jumu'ah.
all right.
It stays open.
Okay. You're asking the question, is, for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, translation of which, O you who believe, if you come to the prayer, then when you heard the call for the Jumu'ah, come to the dhikr of Allah, the prayer and the khutbah, the dhikr of Allah here, the prayer and the khutbah, and leave the transaction. It doesn't mean leave the transaction himself, or he has to close the shop. Did you understand that? So is it that is nobody allowed to buy and sell regardless? It could be a disbeliever, regardless of a woman or man. Let's say that I'm putting a disbeliever there, who hasn't got to do the Jumu'ah. Or it's not allowed to sell and buy at all, regardless who's selling or buying, whether it's the children or non-believers or women. Okay, a difference among the scholars, and the correct opinion that there should not be any sale in that time. There should not be any sale. Even the scholars, they come as to invalidate the sale. Invalidation. That means the sale, if you've done a transaction, you've got the right to say that I haven't really sold you, or I haven't bought from you. Yeah, right, the right, because it's invalidated. So that is invalidation. It is regardless of the person whose transaction, because it's a moment which is inviolable. It's got a sanctity, sanctified. Muharram fi hurumat. That day, yes, that is haram. Even the scholar, they said, what about a person who's selling water, and a person he had to make wudu, and he had bought water for wudu in that time? Is his wudu salih, valid, in order to make his prayer valid or not? Look at how far they go regarding the discussion in this question. So is his wudu valid? Because he bought water which is invalid transaction. The correct opinion, it is valid wudu. It's valid. But what I'm just saying, this is how it goes regarding this time. Now,
Sheikh, let's say, for example, just following on from your brother's question, that you have a website and it maintains itself, and it's the time of Jumu'ah, and sales are happening from your website. What's the situation there?
that's a great question, actually. I'll tell you what, let's make it more realistic. I have eBay. And people is betting while I'm what? Praying. Is that right or wrong? People are betting. I'm asking, can you close the betting? Not really. Can you?
You can close the website, no?
No. Can you close the betting? No. But you could make a betting which is not to take place in that time. Or to make it, for example, well after. Because the betting is always in the last what? 1 second, is it? It's not as short as that. But the last maybe half an hour. The last minutes. A second maybe it's not too much. Last minutes. That's when it takes place. So you don't really make your end of betting, okay, at that time. And no problem. Okay? So no problem. So if the people going on websites, now the websites are used not just by the people who are in your place, in your country. They could be buying from another place where there's no Jum'ah for them. It could be a different day, different time. Did you understand that? So that's no harm. We don't want it selling and buying something that people can see in that locality. So the shops around and all that, in Saudi Arabia, everything's to be closed. Okay? And definitely they do have websites themselves which are selling and buying. Okay? So no problem, inshallah. Now. Okay, that's your question. I triggered for the future.
Let's say you can't stop trading once the Prophet you can't stop trading, but you can work out what transactions have happened and how much money you've done. What should you do with that?
No, we can't. I'm just saying, what did you do to earn that money? If it's websites, no problem. You say.
It's a shop. You can't, for whatever reason, you can't, you're open. I come to Jum'ah, the shop is open.
You have to close the shop. You have to be strong enough to close the shop. Oh.
I'll close it.
I tell you what, Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we're going to study him in about maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Abu Darda, he used to be a merchant, a trading businessman before the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been sent with a revelation. And then when he embraced Islam, and he's from the Ansar, from the Khazraj, when he embraced Islam, he said, I tried to get together trading plus ibadah. They never got combined for me. I tried to make sure that I got ibadah perfected and also my tijara perfected. I can't combine that for me. And then he says, verily, if somebody had given me the choice to have a shop next to the door of the masjid where I make transaction and I don't miss a single prayer, and I make 300 dinars every day as a profit. Work out 300 dinars. Each dinar is 4.25 grams of gold. And each gram of gold is about 25 pounds. That's 100,000, huh? Lots of money. Every day. And I get 300 dinars every day. And I don't use it for my own pocket. I give it for the charity for the sake of Allah. I will not tolerate for myself to do so. A shop next to the door of the masjid, making 300 dinars every day, and the 300 is not going to my pocket, going for sabilillah, I will not do that. They asked him why. Everything, mashallah, you're not missing a single prayer and everything. He said, because I don't want to be from the men whom Allah said, رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَإِقَامِ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ. Those men who have been preoccupied from making remembrance of Allah by the tijara, by the trade. It does, you see, when you're coming here and your shop is open, how much did he do? How much profit? Did he sell it properly? How's he gonna? Your mind somehow is being diverted to that shop. Forget about it. Come down to the masjid and Allah will give you better. He who leaves something for the sake of Allah, Allah gives him better in exchange. Can't you see how much effect you're going to be doing on those people who are workers, who are disbelievers? When you close the shop, I say, why do you close the shop and you're making hundreds of pounds? Because Allah said there's no haram to be buying and selling at that time. How much double are you going to make to that person? They said 500 people from the Chinese embraced Islam because of what? King Abdullah was buried the normal way. On the day of the King Abdullah, Saudi Arabia, was buried like there was no this formal sort of burial. You know, the formal burial with music and all that. He was buried in the sand, just like normal people. The Chinese couldn't believe it, because when they got, you know, the Dalai Lamas and all of those, then they have to have rituals. So I have seen in the video, have you ever seen the video? To YouTube it? Well, Chinese, all of them, La ilaha illallah, all of them. They shahada together because of one single act. And inshallah it will be in the scale of this man on the day of resurrection. Because of this death of his. Simple. So how much are we going to be doing if you just call, shop is up, closed. If somebody got a mobile shop, it's very hard to close a mobile shop. But he closes it. Alhamdulillah. He's got kuffar to work. He's got women, like his brother said, women to work as well. No. Close it, and Allah gives him better. Nice. So, it needs power. It's not really easy. It needs strength. Inshallah. I'm not saying it's easy. Because shaitan makes it really, don't worry, there's women here to a kafir has got no Jumu'ah. No. The kafir in the Muslim country is not allowed to open his shop in the Muslim country while the Jumu'ah is on. Even a kafir selling to a kafir is not allowed to open his shop. No. Further.
Is this prohibition only for trade or?
Let me tell you, let me finish this. By the way, and I think if there was a Muslim country to tell your shop to close down, I think you would be more relaxed, because you would say, Alhamdulillah, everybody's closed, so nobody's going to make profit than me. It makes you relax, isn't it? Everybody's closed, so you'll close. But because other people open, especially because somebody with the same shop as you, he's going to, oh, you're going to rob my customers. You're going to steal my customers. Oh no, you're going to steal my customers. And the customers are going to come over, you close, khalas, I'm not going to come to him again, go to the other one. Fadl. Tawakkul ala Allah.
Is this money haram only you should get for trade in time of Jummah, or if you work any job? Because sometimes we have to, if you work for a company, a builder, actually they send you to a place where there is no masjid, and you're just paying normal worker.
Is, for example, the person who is working in a place there is no Jumu'ah around him, is compulsory upon him to do the Jumu'ah? No, it is not compulsory upon him to do the Jumu'ah. There are people who work next to the masjid, they can't do the Jumu'ah. The guards. You know the one you go to Saudi Arabia? There's guards there. They can't do the Jumu'ah. They have to wait. And this is the commander of, which is the head of the country. It's a protection for everybody. To make sure that so they can't. Because if they did Jumu'ah, the people will come and do something. So, if you are in a place where you're not required to do Jumu'ah, there's no problem, inshallah. You're in a place. But you have to work in a company where they understand your needs as a Muslim. This person who is a Muslim and is a police officer, I don't really advise a person to be a police officer, not even in this country, even in a Muslim country. Unless it's a Muslim country, they abide by the Muslim law. And he said to them, I'll be a policeman. He's a revert, mashallah. That is, as long as, number one, if my prayer is on, I will pray regardless where I am. He said, yeah, no problem. My beard, nobody can touch it. He said, no problem. Number three, my deen cannot be compromised, no problem. So he stayed with them. I said, okay, alhamdulillah, he minimized the harms. MashaAllah. So if he's on duty, let's say for example, this person is being called because there's a police crime. And he had to be in pursuit with the criminals. And this Jumu'ah, he's exempted. Do you understand that? Because he's in pursuit of that person. He's exempted. You're asking me about this? No, Jazakallah.
I just want to ask a connected question, that what is better, to miss Jumu'ah or to take specified Friday like day off? Because
if you can take the day off from those people, no problem. I'm not saying, brothers, that the person, if he wants to take the day off, is not allowed. I'm saying that to specify the Jumu'ah as a whole, as a country, that is shop to close on Jumu'ah, that's not right. But if a person himself, as I said, you remember, his intention is he wants to relax, not because it's a day of Jumu'ah, it's because I want to relax and I want to go to the Jumu'ah with my family and everything, no problem. But if he thinks that the Jumu'ah is a day off, that's the problem. It's no problem. Okay. So the Muslim country has to get together with the scholars, as Sheikh Al-Albani has said, and decide which day to make it, for example, for the workers today as a day off, but not to specify Jumu'ah. Whole of Jumu'ah. No.
If one is ill,
I asked that one, but it doesn't matter, you as well. You got priority. I haven't got back problem as well.
one is ill and does not attend the Jumu'ah, can we make Jumu'ah with his family at home?
If one is ill, how can he make Jumu'ah at home? There's no Jumu'ah at home. The Jumu'ah is a Jumu'ah where people can come to it. Would you allow your neighbors to come in as well? No. So the Jumu'ah, you can't do Jumu'ah, you have to do Dhuhr. You cannot do Jumu'ah. But if it's in the open, yes, you could do Jumu'ah. People could come and everything, in the open space. For example, you've been in a picnic, okay? You do Jumu'ah, but picnic does not exempt you from the Jumu'ah. Be careful. Be careful. People, for example, they take a day off, and they go to a picnic, and they don't do Jumu'ah. That's not allowed. Can't they have a Jumu'ah picnic? Yes, in the picnic, it's no problem. So the Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, on the day of Jumu'ah, in the university, they used to go with his students outside there, and they used to do Jumu'ah where? In the open areas, in the desert or the mountains. They used to do Jumu'ah. And even the shuyukh, they used to take, sort of lots of hardship on this. How can you take him away from the haram and, go to Jumu'ah there? No, it's in the open. So Jumu'ah anyway. So one of the students would stand up and make a Jumu'ah from the Shaykh. Once we had, the Jumu'ah took our Shaykh Mashkoor, Hafidhullah, and we went to a close area from the Dead Sea there. It was waterfall, very rare to have waterfall in Jordan. And we had taken our breakfast very early in the morning. And then during the afternoon, the Dhuhr, one of our friends, he made the khutbah in the Jumu'ah. And I think I've said this before. What did he say? MashaAllah. Very good, Qaf. Very good. The student, he has made a Jumu'ah which normally nobody would do in any normal masjid. He recited Surah Qaf. Whole of Surah Qaf. And revived the Sunnah. You understand me? So there's not hardly find a person, because Hisham, she said, I have learned, memorized Surah Qaf, because the Prophet used to repeat it where? On the pulpit. It's not every Jumu'ah, but he's doing a lot to recite from Surah Qaf. Now, we made the Jumu'ah, we were about 20 or 15. Tafadhal. Okay, anybody want a question from the back? Yes, Fadhal Akhi. Hamad. Him first.
I've come across two narrations about separating shoes from the bed. One implies 10 and the other one 7.
7 you teach them, but 10, that is when the hadith says, فَرِّقُوا بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْمَضَاجِعِ 10. 7 you teach them. Now.
What have you concluded about the
Last question. Khalas.
fasting is?
Fasting? Yeah.
Are we going to fast or?
If you're asking me, I'm going to be fasting my Thursday, and I'm going to add to it Friday. Is that good enough for you? But I'm not going to fast Saturday.
Not Saturday,
No Saturday.
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday. But not because it is, I believe, Thursday is the 9th and Friday is the 10th. No, I'm fasting it because I believe the 10th is Saturday. And as I said, if a person wants to believe Thursday and Friday, 9th and the 10th, be my guest, no problem. Because Egyptian, as I said, they have cited it, but for me they're not trustworthy. Uncle, do you have any question? Go on, Uncle. Khalas, mashallah. The question of the one was in the back. Sorry about that. He's got a back problem, he needs a back.
Is it a major sin or minor sin if someone is buying and selling at the time of Jummah?
Is it a major sin or a bigger sin or a... Well, when we look at the scholars who counted the major sins, okay, they did not count that is buying and selling during the Friday. Because the major sin has to have either a curse or a deprived from paradise or a promise of the hellfire. If it has that, then it's a major sin. Wallahu a'lam. Subhanakallah bihamdik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.